it was so twisted and sinister, and so psychotic, but at the same time so fascinating as a viewer. Hello, everyone. Welcome to No Drama, Just Movies, and we are back this week with another review. This time, we are here to review none other than the season finale, episode 8 of HBO's The Penguin. Please give our channel a lovely little subscribe to stay tuned with all the movie reviews and TV reviews and now news discussions we talk about each and every week in the world of TV and movies. My name is Cameron. I did it, ma. Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
What an accent. I can tell you went to drama school. I'm Phil, the pinky snipper Colin.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that means so many different things around the globe, apparently. Well, so I've heard. But here we are to talk about episode 8, the season finale of The Penguin. So let's get straight into it. What did you think? An hour and 5 minutes or whatever it was of a whole lot of meat, as I like to call it. What did you think?
Oof, oof, lots of things like wrapping up and turning around and oof. There was a lot going on. And it like had me, I think, throughout. I was very wrapped up in it. Because there was tension. I loved some of these scenes. I loved where it ended. We're getting into like major spoilers, I think, when we get into details. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one.
What an episode. I mean, as you said, similar to you, I was hooked from beginning to end. I was absolutely hooked. And the biggest thing about this episode, and I think has been a shining beacon of light throughout the entire series, should we say, is once again the relationship between Oz and his mum. Um, Obviously, jumping off of last week's episode, and we saw how Jack and Benny obviously met their end, realizing that it was actually Oz that was, pretty much responsible for that happening, keeping them locked in the underground water system or whatever you call it. And I really enjoyed this episode, how it finally, you really got to explore the fact that the reason why, when Oz's mum was first introduced in the show, you kind of wondered why she was like this towards him and how they had this kind of relationship, the way she spoke about him, the way she talked to him. And now we finally got that reason as to why. It's because there's a underlining hatred there for him. And that was just so beautifully done. I felt like Sofia took a bit more of a backseat in this episode,
Yeah.
but that's okay. But this episode, ultimately, we got there at the end to Oz becoming the Penguin. I do have some concerns about the character moving forward. Because I think one of the things that I loved about this series is that we kind of grounded him a little bit, not in a way that made you, just completely sympathetic for the evil doings he does, but, by having his mum and having Vic, spoilers, obviously for what happens to Vic, it kind of gave something to anchor the character. And now that that's not there, I wonder where that character is going to go. I don't just want to see him just be the brutal, vengeful mobster that now you don't really give two damns about. He's just, some guy, that Batman beats up later on down the line. But what were some highlights for you? Or some lowlights?
Can I just respond to that one, I guess? And I guess we are getting into spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
I did see one of them dying, and I thought if between the mum and Vic, it has to be Vic, because the mum still being around is actually smarter, because now he still has someone to care for. So I'm seeing this like his mum as like a thing in the background that he needs to protect. So she's his weakness, but also the thing that drives him. I can see some interesting stuff happening with that, I think.
Can I quickly ask you something on
Yeah.
that? So then why kill Vic and not his mum? Because keep in mind, his mum did say, listen, if I turn into a vegetable, I want you to put me down like a dog. And he didn't.
Yep.
Why?
I think because Vic, as fun as that relationship was, I love their relationship as kind of like a uncle-nephew relationship, maybe, or even older brother, younger brother relationship. And they had great chemistry, like Colin Farrell and Rhenzy Feliz. But Vic is a little bit extra. And Penguin needs to be by himself, I think. He can't have like a pal or a buddy that he hangs out with, if that makes sense. So yeah, they I think they needed to get rid of Vic and just have Penguin at the top by himself, and then his mum somewhere as well, obviously. But yeah, no one that he can like truly rely on. If that, yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense. That does make sense. Was there anything in particular that really spoke to you in this episode, whether it be for positive or negative?
Highlights. I love the Pinky scene, like the torture scene. That
Mm.
was so intense, and like the acting was amazing. Like Colin Farrell in this one, I think for the first time that he completely disappeared. There was always previously always a kind of, oh, that's Colin Farrell, right? Sometimes this accent I think came through, like the Irish, especially at the beginning. But I think here you like absolutely found it. And there was a lot for him to do as well, or for him to play, and just that desperation, I think, for his mom,
Mhm.
like to protect her, but then also like this underlying history they both had, right? Like he's lying to his mum at that point, even though, or like to Sofia at that point, even though they're about to cut off his mum's finger, right? He still says, "I wasn't there. I had nothing to do with my brother's death." So, like this kind of, does he care for his mum? Would he do anything for her? Or is he like this kind of pull between protecting his mum and showing the love for his mum and like
Yeah.
and protecting his own what is it? His yeah, himself, kind of, not to let people know
Yeah.
what he did to his brothers. And I yeah, there was so much for these characters to do, or for these actors to do at that point. So I think that was definitely a highlight of that episode for me.
Yeah.
What
And
was
even to go for what you're saying, not just, not just wanting other people to see him in a certain light, but I think he didn't want his mum to see him in that light. I think that he
Hmm.
wanted his mum to see him as the thing that he always wanted her to see him as, the person that loves her the most, that cares for her the most, that is willing to protect her the most. And even up to that point where she stabbed him, she literally attempts to, I mean, I guess kill him. And he still, he wants to protect. He just wants to prove to her that I'm not the piece of crap that that you see me as. I can be so much more. And even so, as a result, when we get to that final those final scenes, moments where you do see that his mum still is alive and that she is a vegetable, and that you see the single tear go across her face. What's your thoughts on that? Is that Oz saying, I'm keeping you here out of selfish reasons because I want you to see that I did it? Or is that Oz saying, not only do I want you to see that I did it, but I can't live up to the promise that you asked me to keep by putting a bullet in you? Or what is that, do you think?
I think he wants to show her that he did it, right? That's the whole point. Like he positions her at the window so she can have that view and see that he's like top floor. He's like you said, the penguin now. He's like Sophia's gone, everybody else is gone, and he's won it, right? And he wants his mum to see that. He wants his mum to be around for that. So he can't kill her. He needs her to be there to witness like how amazing he is and maybe be proud of him as well. And then obviously there's the hope, I guess, that she might come around. And that yeah, she might be able at some point to tell him how proud she is. So that yeah, that's why he keeps her around, I think. Would you
I
agree?
mean,
Or is
last
there
thing,
another reason?
I think I do. I think that you sold me on that there, because I thought that it came across as very twisted, like, seeing him with Eve, and she's dressed up as
Oh,
his mum now and
oh
saying,
yeah.
almost pretending to be his mum. But it was so twisted and sinister and so psychotic, but at the same time so fascinating as a viewer. Before we wrap up, anything that you didn't like about this episode? Anything in particular that
Mm,
stuck out to you?
I I get why Vic had to die, and I get the idea that I like the idea that he does it. Penguin, Oz does it like that, and just like the Vic begging for his life basically is like heartbreaking. Um, but I also felt like it was just a little bit too quick. I
Mm,
think just to like to I wanted to sit in it a little bit more. I think and make it mean a little bit more. Maybe I don't know what that would have looked like, but it just kind of came and went. Especially with everything else around it, it just didn't have the weight that it deserved, I think, for me.
okay. I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, and I do understand that. I think my main criticism is that I think that Oz is the luckiest guy in the world. I think that somehow everything always seems to work out for him, no matter how much dangerous, life-threatening situations he's in. However, I'm willing to rock with it. Also, this idea of him, obviously, I understand him not killing Sofia because he realized that by using her as, handing her over to the cops, that was going to further his standing as being seen as someone who could, I guess, move up in the more corporate and business side of Gotham, and what have you, and be seen in that light. However, I think at the same time, this idea that all the other subordinates of the gangs, was willing to kill their higher ups, and now Sofia is in jail, but what happens to her businesses and whatnot? She said she was going to give up. Yes, I think that kind of wasn't cleared up. However, that does obviously lead into the parts of this episode that really do highlight or give a tease to where we're going. Obviously, Selena Kyle, it seems like she's gonna have a little half sister arc, should we say, maybe in the Batman Part 2. And then obviously the man himself did not show up in the flesh, but they did signal for him, obviously, with the classic back signal, which I think was just a nice little touch. But we're gonna go into that in terms of our theories and our speculation on our next video that we're going to do, which is going to be us talking about what we like to see and what we are predicting is going to happen in the Batman Part 2 based on, obviously, this entire series and episode. So, to wrap it up here, we give our reviews here a icy score out of 10. So, the finale of The Penguin, how many ices out of 10 will you give this episode?
I would give this a 9. I would give this a 9. I think it was a really tense, lovely episode that wrapped some things up, but obviously kept some things open for the future because there's more property with the Batman in the Batman universe. I do love a status story where people like rise to power or fall, like Sofia. She had everything and then she ends up back in Arkham. So I was on board with all of that. So yeah, 9 out of 10 ices.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also gonna go with 9. We're twinning again today, boyo. I'm going with 9 nineties out of 10. I thought this was an incredible episode. Had me at the edge of my seat, gave me everything I wanted, and I am very excited as to where we're going next. And please, can we have a Penguin season 2? But the very last question I'm gonna ask you quickly: IC review score for the whole season. How many ICs out of 10 will you give the entire series of the Penguin that is season 1?
Okay. I might stick with a 9. I think I'll give it a 9 as well. Like it had to convince me at the beginning. Then it convinced me at like episode 3, Bliss. I was totally into it by then or from then. I think it took a little bit of a step back at some point. But yeah, and there's still like some things where I'm not sure what that was or not sure what that meant. Um, but yeah, definitely a worth a watch, I would say. So the whole season gets a 9 out of 10 ICs from me.
And listen, for me, we're twinning again.
No,
I'm also going with a 9 out of 10.
there we
I
go.
thought that this was awesome. I loved every minute of it. I'm going to really miss this show if this indeed is the end. I have a feeling it won't be, but this has given me more than enough to tie me on over to the Batman Part 2. And please, Matt Reeves, hurry up. Please, 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 please. So that will do it for our review of the season finale of The Penguin, episode 8. And that will do it here for our review of the entire series of HBO's The Penguin. It's been a lovely ride. We will still be coming with our own little separate news video, our 2 pence, where we will be discussing what we think is going to happen and what to expect in the Batman Part 2, especially based off the end of this episode. Please give our channel a lovely little subscribe to stay tuned with all the content we release each and every week in the world of movies and TV. My name is Cameron. I did it, ma! Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
And see. I'm Phil, the pinky snipper Colin.
Oh, that's right. We're not going to be seeing much pinky snipping until the Batman Part 2 comes out, but we can always rewatch this episode if we want. That will do it for our review of the season finale of HBO's The Penguin. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies, and we will see you very, very soon. Take care, guys.
Bye.